Hey everyone, we're just waiting for one more person, trying to see if I can see him in the user list down here, and then once we get him on board, we'll start the show. All right, hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Xbox Talks. We got everybody here now, ready to go. Yeah, sorry about the title. Xbox Bethesda Showcase is almost here. I kind of got lost on my days. I know it's still about 2 weeks out, but that's my bad. But I'm still hyped. Yeah, welcome to another episode for you guys joining us again. And for those that are new, yeah, this is just a show for you guys. Come up, you see the little hand down button, raised hand chat button down there at the bottom. Go ahead and hit that. We'll bring you guys up. We'll start talking. Let's introduce everybody. We got Jay Foreman.
Yeah, hey everybody, how's it going? In your defense, I didn't realize the show was so soon. Like, I knew it was coming in June. I guess it's May 20th already. So yeah, you kind of actually brought that to my attention. Like, we're almost there.
Yeah, we're about like 3 weeks out.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we have Ivan Grimprovise.
How's it going, everyone? Yeah, I'm also looking forward to that showcase, but it's weird. We also got Summer Game Fest too, which is like pretty much right around the corner. It's like, I feel like even though E3 was taken up, we still have so much coming up that it's like, man, I don't even know what we're gonna do about all of it.
Oh, I forgot about Summer Game Fest. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Next up, we got Mikey J. Raymond.
Double mute. Sorry about that.
Ooh.
Hello, everybody. Let's go on to the next guy. I already screwed up.
It's all right. Yeah, one job, Mikey. One job. We have also Anthony Mocha Worm.
Hey guys, checking in from the UK. Yeah, how you all doing?
Yeah. Late night visitor for us. How's everyone doing today? What's everybody playing?
Good. I think we had some not review, but the preview copies of Multiverses kind of make its way through the ranks here. So hopefully we'll get some takes on that in just a bit. And maybe some of you in the audience got some of those too. They didn't make them real hard to obtain. So that ate up a little bit of my gaming time this week. I was really interested to check that out. So that was cool.
Grim?
Yeah, I'm also actually playing Multiverse because basically got hooked up with the code, and I was like, all right, I gotta give this a try. I don't know if anyone remembers, but I was pretty optimistic about Nick All-Star Brawl. Not so optimistic now, but Multiverse is definitely filled in pretty nice. I was really happy with how it's going, and I hope it's keeps going. And the fact that it's free to play, I think I'm at least gonna check in on it every once in a while.
I've been playing Cyberpunk still. Game Pass has been keeping me a bit busy. I've been playing NBA 2K22, giving that a shot. And then I've also been playing Payday 2 on Steam, which is a 10-year-old game. And I played a little bit of Multiverse this morning. It's okay. It's all right.
I've just been trying to get through my backlog. I've got Tunic, Guardians of the Galaxy. I started Bugsnax. Just Game Pass stuff, but also I don't care what anyone says, I love Halo Infinite multiplayer, and I keep gravitating back to it. So no matter what I play, I always end up back on Halo at the moment.
Polarizing subject, right? I'm gonna join you on that hill. I'm gonna say I still have a good time playing Halo Infinite.
I do, and that new mode that they added, the lone,
the lone wolf, yeah. People have really been gravitating toward that.
Great, I love it. I think it's fantastic.
There are obvious criticisms to be made, and we're definitely well versed in them at this point in the development. But it's one of those games where you hope that someday, like everything is going to come together. It's just not there yet, and I hate having to say, have a game release what some people would say lacking content, but
that mode though is great. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I finished first maybe like 3 or 4 times, and just the sweat when it's just like the last 2 or the last 3. It's just a real good adrenaline.
Yeah, I have hope, man. I have hope. I'm not throwing the dirt on the grave yet. So it's a long run for this game. We'll see where it goes.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I haven't played Halo Infinite since season 2 started. I've been wanting to, but I don't know. It was fun while it lasted for me, but I don't know. It just died out so quickly. But you guys are saying it's fun again. Like it's the new mode's pretty interesting.
It never wasn't fun for me. I don't. This is where I'm a bit. Like Jay said, it's polarizing. Like for me, I've always played solo. Like at the moment, for the last. On Halo, I don't really have a group of friends that I play with, and I just have a real good time with it. You can dip in and out. I work through the battle pass. I'm working through the season 2 battle pass. It's just good. I just enjoy playing the game. I think it's weighted well. I like the maps. I like the style, and this new mode's great. This lone wolf is just.
It sounds like it landed for you just how they wanted it to. They were trying to bring some life into the game, and it sounds like you're really enjoying that.
I used to be a Destiny for me, my fallback game was always Destiny 2. No matter what I played, I always ended up in Destiny. But recently now, it's kind of gravitated towards Halo instead. That's my constant underneath.
And that's a fair take. I think we've said that a few times. Maybe I think we said the bones are good, right? Like the gameplay's there. It's just the criticisms mostly are around lack of content, lack of Forge, lack of couch co-op. The list goes on and on. So eventually they'll get there, I believe, if it's going to be in time. Probably not for everyone, but maybe in time to change the way that it's viewed once it's a game of history. Once it passes its time. So I'm with you. Good take.
Yeah, kind of. Let's see what we got going on right now. It's kind of a slow news week, huh? Kind of wrapping up, going into the Bethesda Showcase and Game Awards and stuff like that. Not a lot really going on, at least on the Xbox front.
No, it's we have some stories we can touch on, but it really has been bad. So we have some topics we're going to discuss during this show, and if you in the audience want to help us fill in with something that you found interesting this week, please do. And speak of the devil, we have this one's going to be a tough one for me, Kevin. You better take it.
What is?
The username.
Sorry, I looked away for a bit. Oh.
Yep. See, I got you. There's no U in there, so you got to figure out what to do with that Q.
The Kioma?
The Komia. I'm gonna go with if you want to. There you are. You can set us straight. How do we pronounce it?
Yeah, I've been monitor. I've been looking at this chat. I've been having a good time, but I was just wondering, is Halo the guy with the green helmet? Thank you.
Oh, that's Master Chief. Yeah. It's synonymous. Like people think like Link is Zelda kind of thing. I guess Master Chief, Halo. I can see the correlation.
Okay, thank you. No, I've never played on Xbox, so I just wanted to know.
No, it's we get people that drive by all the time, and it's a totally fine question. So thanks for coming up. If you want to listen in some more, you'll probably get some more details. But yeah, when people talk about Halo, it's Master Chief, and one of the biggest things on Xbox. So you take care. So I mean. It's kind of interesting, this client, because we do get people that just kind of drop in and they're not sure what we're talking about or what subreddit we're associated with. So we appreciate all takes, especially somebody who's totally has no idea what's going on in the platform and gaming and that kind of stuth. So
yeah, I mean, it's awesome. You came by, check out the Xbox talks, kind of see what it's all about. Hopefully, we left a good impression on them.
I might buy an Xbox.
So let's kind of get started here, I guess, and get into actually some topics and of interest, hopefully, and maybe we can get right in with multiverses. If you're not aware, that it's in the second phase of alpha testing, and they lifted the NDA this time around, so you can discuss it, you can stream it, I believe. I don't think there's any limitations to this. There are some gameplay limitations, and we were actually discussing a little bit in the pre-show. There's no couch co-op right now; it's online only, and I think. Ivan for sure, and a few of us up here have had a chance to play it, and if you have too and want to come up and share your thoughts, please do. But let's get some initial impressions on that, and I think Grimprovise has a passion for these types of games, so we're going to toss it over to Ivan Grimprovise and see what he has, how he's feeling about it and what he thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been around like the fighting game community a lot, mostly Tekken. So I'm more of like the 3D fighter than like the platform fighter type. Obviously I played Smash, but like, yeah, I mean, and I also mentioned before I was really excited about Nick All-Star Brawl. But yeah, when I played this, I was like very worried about a lot of things, because I know the game's built around the whole 2v2 aspect. So I'm like, all right, we're gonna have burner characters because like, who wants to use like a support in 1v1? And that still kind of feels true, even playing it. Like, I mean, you can make it work, but why would you? You could, But yeah, it's like, I like the archetype system. The perk system's a little weird, but I've been playing without perks just to see if I feel the disadvantage, and I haven't yet. But I did see someone get like a triple jump perk. I'm like, how's that even fair? Like they get like
That's
a
huge.
free recovery. Yeah. So I hope that doesn't get too monetized. I hope it's just like playing and you get it. I noticed that there's tons of unlocks. So like, getting like ring outs that has like Porky Pig show up. I don't know. A lot of fun stuff like that. So as long as they keep the monetization on that and not the perk system, I think it's going to be okay. It's really fun for the 2v2 aspect because it's different, Nick All-Star Brawl was like, we're going to do, Final Destination 1v1 me, bro. And we already got that in Smash. We don't need that again. So I kind of like that it's doing something different. And it feels pretty good. It feels less floaty than Nick All-Star Brawl, but not as grounded as Smash. So, because in Smash you commit to a move and then you get punished for it. In this, I don't know, it's still very chaotic. I'm still trying to figure it out. The only thing I've seen as punished is like, if you attack too much, rather than having the sour hits being in the background, it tells you straight up attack drop, or now you're, about to burn if you keep getting hit. So they're telling you what the debuffs are rather than like being in the background like with Smash. So I'm liking it. It's pretty cool. It's like accessible,
So for those of us that haven't played, and maybe everybody else, some other people in the audience too, like you mentioned perks, so you can kind of create your own like fighter style, I guess, outside of like, so I mean, if you're like, I think I saw like Shaggy in there, I would assume he would have his own moveset, but you can kind of expand on that with perks.
Yeah, like perks are basically like, I guess, modifiers. Like I mentioned, where you get like a free jump, like a dirt jump. Some are like, attack percentage up, and you pretty much get 4. I don't know what the main one is, 'cause I didn't unlock it. I have to keep playing as the character to unlock more perks for that person. But they seem to be pretty much like generalized, so I wouldn't say like Shaggy gets something that Harley Quinn's not going to get. They all seem to be the same thing. It's just when you unlock them. And I guess it goes into like people wanting to play off each other. So it's like, if you equip certain perks and I equip certain perks, we might want to either have them complement each other or stack them. I guess that's probably what you'll see. I don't think, like, for instance, if we both do triple jump, I don't think we're going to get 6 jumps. I think we'll just be capped at 3, so that would be a wasted one. It's like, if you took it, I shouldn't take it. And that is one thing that is nice about this, is that if you go in with a random, you see what perks they're equipping. So it's not like you're going to be like, oh, I put on my triple jump and so did they. Burned it, perk. You're going to see it before you lock in. It's just a matter of, locking in and being sure that's what's happening. Someone could look like they're going to lock in, not lock in, and then switch up their perks, and you're like, okay, thanks for that. Typical free-to-play stuff.
Interesting. So, all right. Yeah, because I never got a chance to play it, so just kind of hearing the whole perk system. Plus, also, I'm not a big fighting person, fighting game person, so kind of get into that realm. Hearing all this is pretty interesting, and I'm not sure if anybody else too in the down below wants to come up too and talk about it. If you're playing it, let us know.
I got to check it out just a little bit, and first of all, the 4 characters I wanted to play were locked behind coins, which you can earn. You just had to play a few matches to earn them. So I think the most interesting about this game, and which makes it maybe stand out from a lot of people who have tried to do the Smash clone before, is that the potential stable of characters is just the most amazing thing, next to maybe Disney and Nintendo, maybe next to those 2 houses that you can possibly imagine, right? We have DC, all the DC comic characters, so you have your Batman and your Superman. We have Cartoon Network, so you have characters like Finn and Steven Universe is in there, and Garnet if you're a fan of those shows, but all the Cartoon Network things, and that could even expand into Rick and Morty and crazy stuff. And then when you start like really kind of expanding your mind about what this could be and start getting into all these different assets that they own, the character selection is the stable is just almost unmatchable. I feel like maybe Disney could do it, but so that's the most exciting part of the game to me, and I was kind of nervous about it, but when I got in and started to play it, like it felt pretty good to me. And I'm not a huge fighting game expert. I suck at Smash. I've played it a few times, and we'll get knocked around by the kids, but if I try to go play competitively, I'm going to get stomped. So beside that point, just as a couch game that I sat down and didn't have much hope for, I found myself wanting to play a few more matches. So that was a good sign.
Yeah, as a casual fan myself, I'm no like huge fighting game expert. I've always casually played Brawl and all the other ones, but for me, this one has a different hook because, seeing characters that you grew up watching, Tasmanian Devil is awesome. Like I get to fight with him. I get that you get to fight with Mario in other games, but it just hits different when you've been watching these characters on screen for me 30 years. So it's really cool to get to finally get your hands on something like that. And fighting Batman, wait, what? So it as a casual fan, they have a potential chance to really catch some people with the net just because of the scope of characters they have.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
and
think. Oh, go ahead.
nope, you hit it.
I was gonna say, like, and I think that's like a good point they both bring is like they're characters that we've grown up with, and also even when you talk about Smash, like playing with video game characters, cartoon characters get kind of snubbed. Like we wouldn't ever see Bugs Bunny in Smash because it just wouldn't really make much sense. So like now they're finally able to like breathe, and it's like just the I mean when I think about like characters, like imagine Samurai Jack showing up, like people would lose their mind over a Samurai Jack reveal. It would be like the Sephiroth reveal, you know. I think that's just really cool because we wouldn't have gotten it in any other way. Like the Nick All-Star Brawl was another thing where we wouldn't have gotten it any other way. It's like those are cartoon characters. I wish the game was a little more concrete, but this at least has the potential, and I do like that it's free to play because it at least gets people to try it. I think people were like, "Oh, that game looks," like with Nick All-Star Brawl, regardless if it is fundamentally good, people are like, "I'm not gonna buy that. I'll wait till it's on sale." And a fighting game, you get the peak of players like in the early time, and then it drops to being the mainstay people, and then that's when it's like, I'm gonna try and play competitive and get stomped. It's like you need that early hit, and if there's no early adopters because you have a price point, yeah, this game at least might have people that would come in, like the Mikey said with the net. So we might actually see some growth here, you know.
Yep, I'm with you. I have hopes for it, and obviously this is alpha testing, which if that means anything anymore, it means that there's still a lot of testing to go. Beta usually happens later in the development process, and I'm interested to see what further characters they roll out. I mean, it's still, like I said, I could go on forever about that. I mean, you have Lord of the Rings and the Game of Thrones. Arya Stark is in there, and it's just really wild to think about. So that's one to keep an eye on for sure. And those codes are out there. I mean. As people give them away on the subreddit, if you watch the new feed sometimes, or there's lots of ways to get them. If you want to check out our Discord server, I'm not sure about their policies about asking over there. Ivan, how's that work for codes and stuff?
Yeah, I think as long as you don't like sell them, you know what I mean? That's kind of what the Discord policy seems to be, where people are like, hey, I have this code, DM me, and then they obviously want a transaction after that. That's usually a no-go. So
that
don't
seems
do that.
fair. Or even better, if you have extra codes, because they gave 3 extra codes to everybody who received one. You want to head over there and maybe ask if anybody needs them. Be a bud. That's a great way to do it. So we'll keep watching on that. And did you guys have any other big topics? Like what should we hit first here this week? I can bring something to the table, but I think some of you guys mentioned some things that you wanted to bring up.
I know one thing I was pretty passionate about was achievements on OG games. I know we talked about touching that.
Yeah.
That's a good place to go. So that's what I was kind of hoping for. So you go for it. You lead us off here and tell us how you feel about that.
Well, so it's out now that trophies are coming to OG PlayStation games, and likewise, Xbox fans would love to see achievements come to OG Xbox games. I mean, I know we have a Fable anniversary, but imagine going back to play the original Fable, or going back to play any of your old like Fusion Frenzy, all that stuff, and being able to get achievements and having, just another reason to play them. that would be a great service to fans, and I, for one, would absolutely welcome that. I know there's been, as someone pointed out in our chat, there's been some talk that it's shown up in a survey or something that they could or as a quest for the rewards program, something along those lines. I forget off the top of my head, but so it's possible they're working on it. What do you guys think?
Where does the resource lie for that though? I mean, it's not to put achievements in OG games. Surely there's some coding needs to happen within the original framework of the game. Like, does it lie with the developer of the game? Do those developers, all exist still? What's the resource involved? I'm not a developer. I don't know how it works, but I'm sure they can't just put a layer on top. Uh, it seems like a huge task for the
I
people
would
involved.
I'm not sure, but Sony's obviously found a way to do this, and I'm not sure if they're just picking and choosing games that are they might be able to get support for. It sounds like it would be something that Sony themselves would do. And maybe, Mikey, do you have any takes on that or thoughts?
Oh, what I was gonna say is I would think they'd take it a lot like they took the FPS boost program and the backwards compatibility program, so long as the publisher or developer gave it the okay, whoever they needed to contact, they could add a system in themselves because they did all the work for that backwards compatibility
Yeah.
program. The developer never did anything. So if they just reach out, they still exist. I mean, look at the backlog that exists today now, or the catalog of OG games and stuff. We could see a pretty wide array of games. Maybe not all of them, obviously, but
But to plug an achievement in, so it's like an if this then that, isn't it? It's like if this happens in the game, it would trigger the achievement. I just can't see how it would be done without dipping back into the code, readjusting the coding. Surely it would only work on digital. It seems. I just don't know how they would do it. It seems magical that they could do it. Like you say, Sony are doing it.
I guess that begs the other question, though. What if they were to implement something like this, and we don't even know what the type of trophies we're getting? Is it just a completion trophy? Is it just a platinum for PlayStation? Would we just get a beat the game 1,000 gamer score achievement? What would, to satisfy people, would you be okay with just like 1,000 gamer score achievement, or would you want 47 achievements in an OG Xbox game?
Well, I'll put it like this way: like there are some OG Xbox games on other platforms that already have some sort of achievement or trophy support. Republic Commando on PlayStation, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy on PlayStation, KOTOR 2 on Steam, Psychonauts on Steam. Like those already have achievements. Like if you just say, all right, let me just bring that list over and put it in and hope for the best. Because those, I think they just check where you are in the save thing. Because I've seen people go like, oh, if you go in the debug menu and go to the last level, you could get the gold on hard. So if all it's doing is just checking where your save state is, done,
Right.
So, but
So the achievements wouldn't be in depth like you said. Then they would be more generic.
Microsoft has done some pretty magical things in the past, and I wouldn't put anything past them. But I've been seeing, what are the big games that are a draw for this? Knights of the Old Republic is definitely one that I saw up there. And maybe it's like Siphon Filter, is that OG Xbox, if I remember? And
I think Siphon Filter was Xbox and PlayStation, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm just saying if it was released there, where they would be, where somebody would be chasing achievements in it. I'm a huge retro gamer, and I do love the original Xbox, and Halo is some of the most magical times for me in all of gaming. But I'm definitely not gonna like fupa it. It's just I'm not really that pushed to see achievements put back into OG Xbox games like that. And I'm probably might be in a minority in that opinion, but it's just one of those things.
Well, I'm more curious too on how it's gonna work. So I mean, like we've kind of talked about it, but are they also gonna make it retroactive? To where you just download the game, start it up, and then it starts popping achievements for you? Or are they just going to wipe the slate clean and be like, hey, if you want to earn these again, you got to go back and do it?
Retro seems like a tough ask, even with Microsoft's magic, like I was just discussing.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain things that, that trigger achievement pops, and sometimes they're game mechanics, and that would obviously be real tough to archive. Did want to bring attention to gold as a medal, who we brought up as a guest here, and maybe they have some... a take on this issue. I love your snoo. That is some wild stuff right there. You got like 3 green eyes and
Destiny.
If you side note, Siphon Filter was only PlayStation.
Okay.
original
That's-
Phaser
okay.
game, Phaser Simulator, was PlayStation only.
Oh, you're good. We
Alright.
saw you on mute. Yeah, go ahead.
So I have the list of what games that I'm pretty sure they're going to talk about. Number 1, the space game. Number 2, Elder Scrolls 6. Number 3, a DLC for ESO. Number 4, 3 other cool games that people will be like, oh, I might play that. Number 5, maybe Witcher 4. And number 6, 60 plus games that no one cares about. Thank you.
These are your show predictions?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
You know, it's it's not a bad take. It's probably totally fair. And that's what we can expect. So we're hoping for surprises, though.
It's gonna be awesome if he's actually like 100% correct. Like,
Yeah, we're gonna go back and listen to this
just
after
nailed
the show.
every single one, and just we're gonna be like, oh man, this
He missed so many though. Like there's so many. Like what about Hellblade 2?
All right, we're gonna get into the subject. Yes, go for it. What do you want to see at the Xbox Game Show this year?
You talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
I just want to make sure there's 6 of us up here now. Because like we've got Forza, we've got Perfect Dark that be coming, Everwild. We've got Fable, Hellblade 2, Avowed, Outer Worlds 2. There's so many games that, and they might be things I want to play. Like, come on, man! There's so many good things coming that we got to see something on them.
I agree. We had a user make a post today, and it gained traction. People are really excited, and they're dropping their guesses. Starfield, Redfall. People want to see more about this, even though they've been pushed back. Is it Project Tatanka? Is that the right thing? Are you guys familiar with that? I think it's the Halo, maybe the Battle Royale mode type thing, or PvPvE experience for Halo Infinite. We have the Gears collection. That is something that's been rumored. It seems like a good time to drop that. And there's also been, this one kind of got touched on too this week, and this one's kind of close to my heart and painful because I know it's not going to pan out, but the Final Fantasy VII Remake producers said that they were going to drop news next month, right about the same time as the Xbox Game Show. The user that submitted this post had a really funny take about it. And they said that we were going to get the news next month, so why not disappoint all the fans hyped for a second part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake and announce an Xbox port? Like, that would be, because that game's disappointed so many with the way they've released it and the staggered exclusivity. So there's a lot of potential there. What else did Kevin? Do you have anything that we missed?
The Ubisoft Plus service, obviously with the PlayStation announcement, do you think they'll push that?
Yeah, that's a possibility too.
Yeah, so that's a whole nother thing that got brought up. PlayStation's getting Ubisoft Plus. No, they're not getting it included in the subscription. It's like the EA Play before it became part of Game Pass. So they are getting Ubisoft Plus, but it's something you'll have to pay extra for. But they are getting the classics, which are pretty interesting. I'm pretty sure Xbox, they announced it months ago.
But I believe that Assassin's Creed Origins is dropping on Game Pass soon, right?
That's some news that happened this week too. Yep, we have confirmation. Also a 60 frame per second boost.
Yeah, that's maybe a leader into we've not seen really Ubisoft hit Game Pass yet, have we? And that's a it's like I said, it's interesting that they're starting to bring more. I mean, we did get Rainbow Six Extraction, but back to the original point, they announced it months ago, and they're like more details to come. And I'm pretty sure why would they just say like more details to come if they were just going to announce a date? So either bare minimum, Xbox will probably get the classics. Ubisoft, I'm just going to shoot for it. I'm going to bank that they are actually going to get the full thing, Ubisoft Plus. I agree. So I think Xbox is going to go big on that, and it's a great. I think we kind of talked about it in our Slack channel with Xbox One, but it's a great way to buy Ubisoft without actually buying Ubisoft. You still get day and date games, and you're not dropping down $45 billion to acquire the studio.
A bold move. So, it would be a bold move, but it would play well, I think, even though I'm not a huge Ubisoft fan.
I think Ubisoft, I think if that was a get for Game Pass, I think that might break the bank a little bit. I think what we might see is if you have Game Pass or Game Pass Ultimate, you can subscribe to Ubisoft for like 50% off.
Like the old EA Play subscription model where we paid like $6 Was it?
I see it as like a $2 to $3 additional fee if you want to
Yeah,
get the service
yeah.
straight out. I think they're actually a bit higher than EA Play, but that's because they do day and date. So to get all that added value, I feel like I think that's too much of a stretch for Game Pass. It would be great. Like if they did that, my jaw would drop. I love Ubisoft games, Ubisoft, however you want to say them. Like they're like passionate games. I love them. They're a dirty pleasure of mine. I love shooters like that. They
Yeah.
got their formula. I buy every Far Cry every year, so I would love to see them come because it would save me a ton of money. I'm probably going to subscribe to Ubisoft service. If it came to Game Pass, what a get if that was what actually happens.
So let me ask you this question. I think you're right, 100% right. It'd be too much of a stretch. What if Game Pass raised the price by $5? Would that?
Is
See,
it
that's kind
optional?
of what I thought we were kind of like leading into here. Is
But it's
that
not
almost
for
sounds like
everyone,
another tier
though,
of service?
It's not.
So that's in my brain the best way that this would work is if it was an optional additional thing that you could just pick up, kind of like when you get Amazon Prime, you're able to go out, grab Hulu and all that. Like you can subscribe through Amazon. It's the same price there though. So I hope with Game Pass it would be slightly off a little bit. But I'm thinking it's going to be additional. I wouldn't want it to be baked into the price and just increase the price because maybe people don't want it.
Exactly, yeah. But this is what we used to do with the EA Play, right? Prior to it being included, I used to pay an additional subscription fee for that service.
Sure, and yeah, lots of people did. I mean, especially if you're a sports game enthusiast, that made sense. A lot of those games you don't have to play right at release, even though if you're a big fanatic, you want to get them day one. But it's nice to go back and visit them.
If Ubisoft brought everything to the table for like a subscription fee for an additional small fee, that's a lot of good stuff. I would see a lot of people would take that up. I think.
People love that software. They do. They love those games. I've made the point in the past where I feel like it's really redundant to a lot of the assets that Microsoft has acquired. So that's definitely why I was out of the acquisition camp. It just felt really weird to stack Ghost Recon on top of Call of Duty and Rayman on top of Conquer. That's a bad example, but kind of what I'm getting at there. But on the flip side, people love Assassin's Creed. Like Mikey was saying, they're guilty pleasure for him. Far Cry, and they put out a great stable of games. Watch Dogs, the original, was one of my favorite games on the Xbox One generation, and I do see the appeal. So it's an interesting proposition.
There's dozens of us that love the original Watch Dogs.
That's true.
Oh, my mic was off. Yeah, Watch Dogs is pretty awesome. Actually, it was like hacking and I don't know. It was such like I don't know. Would you say it's underrated? Underrated gem?
So it took a kind of a beating because of the driving mechanics, I believe, at first, and probably a valid beating. They're a little floaty and not quite as realistic as Grand Theft Auto. That's saying something. Grand Theft Auto wasn't realistic at all, but the cars just felt different, so it kind of took some shots for that. But I think people kind of warmed up to it, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just my personal take.
You're right, though. The Assassin's Creed series alone, I think, as much stick as it gets, a lot of the time, it's a guilty pleasure. Like I loved playing Assassin's Creed. All of them. Right back to number one, right? So,
huge franchise, absolutely gigantic with a huge following. So, like I said, I understand the value in it, and it will be interesting to see if that becomes true. I saw somebody that posted. Here's their theory, and they say it got shot down and they were a little burnt by it, but this actually picked up a lot of support. They said, I personally have a gut feeling it will be announced for Game Pass, and we're talking about Modern Warfare 2. Especially recent news with the acquisition is moving faster than anticipated. They're talking about the Microsoft Activision acquisition. That's always so fun to say. But that's been announced that it's moving along very well, apparently. So it's still going to be a little ways until that deal can be completed, but maybe they're already kind of looking ahead, and maybe Microsoft can work out a deal to announce that already that we're going to see it on Game Pass, even though it's presumed that's going to be the fate of the acquisition eventually anyways. So I thought that was kind of I would have blown it off a couple months ago, but I'm kind of feeling that would be a kind of a big bomb to drop, and when they need positive news.
I mean, if it's halfway through, it's been 3 months since they announced it, that's August would be finalized. That would be before Modern Warfare 2. How cool would that be?
So there's a little bit more fuel for this fire, if you want to say it that way. Sony had their they were doing some kind of conference, and I'm not even sure what the conference is about, but they showed the studios that they had worked out marketing deals with. And if you're familiar with Call of Duty and Sony, it seems like every year they've had some kind of exclusive weapon or some kind of timed exclusive map or something, and that does not seem to be the case this year. So even though Microsoft has pledged to keep those games multi-platform, it does kind of seem like maybe they're starting to pull away from Sony a little bit with stuff such as that. So that's what I'm going to be watching. I'm not expecting it, but I think it'd land. It'd be like a bomb that they needed. We keep saying they need to drop some big announcements at this show, and I think that one would go over pretty well.
Yeah. Does anybody want to put their hand up and get involved?
Oh, we got somebody if they want to come up. I see. We'll try to bring them up. And in the meantime, we can probably go on to some of the other news of the week. This story is kind of, I want to handle it carefully because people were kind of running with it. It's really not a fair comparison. But we heard that basically Xbox is doing really well in Japan, maybe as well as they were in the Xbox 360 generation. And when we're saying Xbox is doing well in Japan, it's not great. It's not awesome. They're not like running away with the market, but people are buying them and playing them, at least on some level. They've reached 200,000 units sold. I believe the Xbox 360 came in for a total of 1.4 million. I might be off by 1/10 or two, but that's pretty close to the figure. So they're off to a pretty good start over there. And what people took out of this news, though, was that Xbox beat PlayStation in sales for the first week in like 8 years or something in Japan. Looking at the actual numbers, PlayStation sold 212 units or something like that last week, and this is obviously a case of supply and demand. For some reason, there just weren't units to buy. Microsoft sold 2,000, I think, and it might have been, so that's what the S and X combined, but as gaming media will do, and as the console warriors were, they ran with that aspect of it rather than just kind of saying, good job, Xbox gaining some market share at least. So Sony's gonna do just fine in Japan. It'll be interesting to see if Microsoft can gain more traction, even on a 360 level. That would be great for them because I love JRPGs, basically.
Yeah. Hey, we do have Steven JN11 up. You want to say hi? You got your mic? There it is. Perfect.
Yeah.
How you doing, bub?
Good, and you?
Oh man, doing great. What's your take?
I wanted to bring up how I don't think there's a lot of talk about these AA games, if you want to say it like that, like Scorn, or I don't know if you guys remember that mecha game where it's like super soldiers and tanks and mechas fighting, and there was a lot of AA games that were advertised on Game Pass that we have yet to see. Well, basically right now, Scorn is supposedly coming out this year. If hopefully they can bring that, but there's a lot of other games that I think aren't getting a lot of talk just because they haven't announced anything. But there could be maybe a few announcements this E3. Or Xbox event.
I think you're right. I know one of them, some of these I think two of them got delayed, Stalker 2, and I can't remember the other one because of the ongoing war in Ukraine. So, that's expected to happen. Scorn says it's on, last I heard they're on track for release. Another one that I'm looking forward to is Warhammer Darktide. It's supposed to be like Vermintide. If you guys have played those, more of a Left 4 Dead feel. But it's a lot of fun, and I expect Darktide to be a lot of fun as well. So I'm looking forward to those just along with you. So I do hope we see something.
Yeah, I feel like that could really help to alleviate some of the tension of this 2022 lineup of Xbox.
Which one are you looking forward to? I know you mentioned Scorn, but is there any other ones?
I remember that mecha game. I forgot what it's called. It was like Exo Mecha, something like that. That looked very fun. I haven't seen anything, or I don't think there's been any updates on that or videos, but definitely Scorn is on my list. I really want to play that.
Yeah,
it looks really interesting.
Yeah, it does. I'm watching the trailer right now, and it looks like a good game, so I'm going to be watching out for that too. Would Slime Rancher 2 be considered AA, or is that like single A? How are we rating our games? I'm pretty excited for Slime Rancher 2 this year too.
I'm also excited for, I don't know if there's any love for Ark Arc 2 is supposed to be releasing. We haven't seen a lot of that. It's backed by Vin Diesel. We'll see.
That's AAA if he's involved.
It's so trippy. I'm excited for it, but that whole Vin Diesel thing is wild.
He's a huge nerd. Apparently, back on early sets of Fast and the Furious, he could get Paul Walker to play D&D with him. So I'm excited to see his involvement. Although the last time I got excited for a celebrity to be involved in a game, it was Kurt Schilling when he created Kingdoms of Amalur.
Oh,
and
man.
that worked out really well.
He
Am I
used
wrong?
to
Am I
years
wrong in
ago.
thinking Vin Diesel was in Riddick? Chronicles of Riddick?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, on the OG Xbox, yeah.
That Kurt Schilling
Yeah.
thing was wild. He used to come. Actually, he's a big Warcraft nerd way back in the day, and he used to come on a show called The Instance by Scott Johnson, and he just straight up became a co-host. And it's a show that I listened to since early day World of Warcraft, and it was mind blowing to me that this multi-million-dollar baseball pitcher was sitting in on a podcast about World of Warcraft, and just completely enthused by it. And then he started talking up this giant MMO they were making, and if you're unfamiliar with the history, I believe they scrapped that down to a single-player game, which became, what's the name of the game?
Kingdoms of Amalur. But it was actually because they were developing both at the same time. They had doubled down and purchased Ari Salvatore, or I forget the name now. Huge fantasy author that helped.
Yeah, no,
write.
you're right. I think you had it right.
Oh, was it right? Okay.
Drizzt and all that stuff,
And he had written a lot of D&D's lore and a lot of other stuff, and huge backlog of. They had this whole thing ready, but they developed 2 games at the same time, and that MMO tanked their funds, and they ended up having to sell off the company back to Rhode Island or something, and he lost his baseball fortune. He put all of it he had into it.
yeah,
Very
it's
sad.
a very tragic tale, and it just kind of went a little crazy, I guess would be the best way to put it. So it was a wild time in gaming, and a very interesting story, worth looking up if you're not familiar with it.
Yeah, so moral of the story, Vin Diesel, don't do the same thing with Arc 2.
I can't
Sidetrack.
moral of the
Good way to bring
story.
it back.
I can't believe it wasn't Keanu Reeves in Cyberpunk. Like,
I heard that he didn't even play it. Like, I guess they hyped it up and they were like, yeah, he's played it and he loved it. And then I think like a few months ago he came out. He goes, nah, I never played it. It was just-
but I cashed that check.
oh yeah, he did. Oh yeah, that was pretty funny. Mikey, or you brought up one point. I would say actually, I think Slime Rancher 2 would actually probably be like in the AA. Probably, I mean, it was such a huge. I thought it was a hit on Xbox when it came. It's such a fun, unique game that I would see them putting a lot more funding behind it to either keep it, bump it up to like a AA or or AAA kind of title now.
Yeah, the budget. I would say AA budget. That's what I would expect they would invest into it. The first game, I don't have the sales numbers, but it did really well, and it wasn't just Game Pass. It was sold well before then, so something to watch out for. So, well, thanks for coming up, Steven. You brought some some good games for us to watch out, and it's something to think about too. People get disappointed that, oh man, Starfield slipped and Redfall, and what are we gonna play? They go all crazy about it. But there's a lot of games that are not even necessarily under the radar, just lesser hyped, and personally, to me, those are the games that I usually end up enjoying more because they don't get overhyped. They just kind of slip out, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is my jam, Everybody finds a game like that, and I'm looking forward to see what the rest of the year holds.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about how maybe they could also bring up hardware or technical stuff to E3. I mean, to this event, such as we know that in architecture, I think they built in the machine learning into the Xbox, right? And we've heard that they were working close with AMD to with Halo Infinite to bring ray tracing to Halo Infinite. Maybe we could hear more stuff about FSR being used or utilized on maybe future games. Maybe, who knows, in Forza Motorsport 8 we might get that. Or I mean, I believe Motorsport 8 might be like 4K 60 ray trace because of with the help of VRS and how well optimized Turn 10 Studios engine is, and just how well they do with the games. But I feel like they can bring a lot of those details that will really like excite people for the future of how they'll be developing games.
Yeah, and this is what I love. Like, yeah, I think your perspective is pretty great because, yeah, I mean, everybody's like, oh no Starfield, but you're over here like, oh, what about this game, this game, this game? You know, what about them announcing hardware? There's so much that Xbox can bring to this table over Starfield, you know, being delayed. And
Yeah,
I think it's such a great take.
the streaming stick, right? The streaming stick has been, what is it, the Keystone? I hope they keep that name. I keep saying that, but
I'm pretty sure
expecting
that's Keystone.
Yeah, I'm expecting to see that unveiled, so that will be interesting.
How much excitement do you think there will be for the rumored Gears of War compilation?
Like, if I had to put odds on that, I mean, I feel like that's 100% going to happen. I don't have anything to base on it other than the fact that it just seems like an easy cash grab. So
yeah,
I expect to see that at the show, even though we don't have anything more than a rumor.
Also, just to dial it back, you mentioned FSR 2.0. For people that don't know, that technology, if it starts landing on more games like DLSS, huge benefit to gaming. You know, we talk about having ray tracing, all these other effects in games, and how they just tank performance. Like, if you want to have ray tracing in Cyberpunk right now, you have to play at 30 FPS. A huge tank. So what things like FSR does, which is fidelity super resolution, for people that actually care about that term, it'll be a huge benefit in upscaling an image. So if you have an image you want to play at 4K, if you downscale it to 1080p, play at 1080p native, and upscale it using FSR 2.0, you get very near identical results to what 4K would be, unless you do even in stills side by side, sometimes you can't tell. That's how good the technology can potentially be. And what it does is it allows a graphics unit or graphics processor to handle only a 1080p image.
So you get the benefits of a 4K picture.
Yes.
With the overhead of a 1080p processing.
Right. That is a very easy way of saying it. Sometimes the image will be muddled. Like with DLSS, I'm not super convinced on or super knowledgeable on how FSR 2.0 is going to be. It's AMD's solution, and they're coming out with it because 1.0 sucked. But DLSS had multiple versions. You had performance mode, which would kind of make the image a little grungy, but you'd get twice as much FPS at times. And there was also quality mode, which could really settle you into a 60 FPS, but you would get identical results to if you didn't have DLSS on. So
is this exclusive to? Would this be an exclusive technology to the hardware of the Series X, for example?
No, it's no.
So far, they just have marketing rights. Whether or not a full 2.0 suite will be available for PlayStation, I would guess yes. I know they have a slightly custom chip compared to Xbox Series X, but I assume this is going to come to all platforms, and it's going to be a huge benefit.
So like the big benefit of AMD FSR is that you don't need, like NVIDIA, their DLSS is based on the hardware that's like literally built into the architecture, but AMD, you can use the FSR on any sort of GPU, whether it could be a 1060 or even a GT7, so one of those old GPUs, but
it's a software solution, it's not a hardware solution.
Yeah, it's software. But if you watch Digital Foundry's recent video, I'm not sure if you guys know of them.
Yeah.
They made a video about AMD FSR versus DLSS, and the fact that AMD managed to, although not on the same level as DLSS, have managed to somewhat close the gap on the quality of their machine learning, which is very impressive.
Here's where I'm kind of at with this, and it is impressive technology from what I've seen about it, and actually the way it was just described helped me understand it better. We're also getting Unreal 5, which we've seen quite a bit about, and we're getting all these back-end software developer tools, and I feel like that's almost as important in modern gaming as the hardware. So everybody got excited about this hardware jump to the Series X and the PlayStation 5, but we're not going to see what these systems can do for another couple years yet, and until developers can play with these tools, and some of them are more complicated to implement than others, but it makes things easier on developers in the long run. So I cannot wait to see them take advantage of all this new tech that they're getting, and it's software based. Software matters. It always has, and it matters more now than ever.
So did you see the Unreal 5 demo that came out this last week with the train station.
Oh, that was stupid
I mean,
pretty.
that was pretty much like a simulation of real life.
It was pretty insane. The lighting transition, they went from dark to light, and it just looked amazing. Yeah,
like,
if that's the future of gaming, and even if it's like, you know, not quite that, but it's close to that, like, we are all in for a wonderful, especially second half of this generation.
And honestly, that's the only way I was able to kind of tell that it was fake, is because of that transition. Like, once I was like, oh man, this looks amazing, and then they did the transition, and I was like, wait, that's not real. Like, that was pretty amazing. I mean, granted, that's not going to be, you know, like what we'll see actually in games, but that's the potential that we could hopefully see eventually. Is that level of quality was just insane.
Well, I mean, the effects that we see in movies, you know, those. I feel that someday in the near future, probably sooner than people think, that's going to be the quality that we get at home, especially when you can do pre-renders and stuff with tools like we were just talking about, with like Unreal 5 and all that. So, yeah, we are in for some amazing times. And Forza, I think, is one that Steven brought up. It's a really easy one to optimize and start using some of those tools. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to add that, like, I think we're going to see the transition a bit sooner than we expect as well, because think about how fast, or not really how fast, but we're basically already seeing a shed of the previous gen. You know, you had Fallen Order say we're not going to do Xbox One, and then you had what was that other one, Gotham Knights, and now Test Drive I think just shed the skin. So they're like, all right, we're just going full next gen, we're in it now.
Yeah,
so,
it took forever to get to this point.
You know, it's weird because, like, I remember even other gens taking a long time too, because like Tomb Raider 2013, that was on like 360 and PS3. You know, like, we've always had this like cross-gen thing, but like I think they wanted to do it a lot faster, but the pandemic dragged it out, because like, oh, backwards compatible, things like that. I think they were ready to cut the cord, but then it's like, oh wait, we don't have systems out. We need to still sell.
And I see why it's hard as a developer to be like, boy, I'm going to take a huge sales loss, and, you know, I'm going to cut my potential market just to make the game a little prettier, and that's hard to do. And it kind of goes back, like, the last game ever released, I think, for the Xbox 360 was Madden 18, because they wanted to go back, and they knew that people were still going to buy it on that system, and because that's how sports fans are, and so they produced a last gen version long after everybody else had quit developing for the system.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, interesting to see, I guess, just the more direct cut now, where it's like, all right, we're moving, even with the console still slowly bleeding out the shelves. But it just shows that a lot of developers are willing to go into this new technology. Sometimes new technology will come out and you see games sort of like hesitate to jump on, you know, like ray tracing took a little bit at first. You know, they were like, oh, we got it in Quake 2 though, and it's like, I wanted a game though, you know, it's like, but it's cool to see the quick adoption. Technology just always moves faster, it seems like, with each generation.
I think people are also afraid to create the next Cyberpunk on Xbox One, where it's just hitting 18 FPS, and they just don't want to be a part of that.
That was the first game that should have abandoned the last generation. That was a huge blunder.
It's which is unfortunate. You know, a lot of people still on only Xbox One, but you know, nobody. If they can't make a game for everything, that's just part of tech, and it sucks. It does, but that's technology.
Yeah, if you look at it now, it's in such a better place now that they've actually optimized next gen and everything like that. But yeah, that should have been something that should have been kept in the oven just a little while longer.
Plus, it's a huge resource issue, right? It's like, if you've got to span all these different, you know, think of the internally, how much that adds, how much pressure and work that adds to these teams. You know?
And in a lot of cases, a simple downgrade doesn't work. I mean, you brought up Madden 18, and that's actually a great point. And the only reason Madden continued to exist is because with their sports games, what they would do is they would take the 360 version from last year, port it forward, and just do roster updates, basically. They didn't take the next gen and then downgrade it. They just side graded the current 360 version. They didn't have that with Cyberpunk. They made it for PCs first, and then they were like next gen, and then they tried downgrading it, and didn't work out. So I'm glad games like Gotham Knights have decided to drop it in Test Drive Unlimited. It'll be to the benefit of the game.
I agree there. It's time to move on. And speaking of games that maybe didn't land where they intended to, Battlefield 2042 got some news this week too. They're dropping the 128 player game mode. They're shifting to 64 players, and Most of the speculation was that there's not enough player count anymore to fill up those 128 player game lobbies. I didn't touch Battlefield 2042. I intended to pick it up, but the news was so bad, and it never got better. I don't think it ever got better. Like, I don't know why they're what they're trying to do with this game. They already announced that they're working on a better version, and they're trying to improve things. But is there any saving it at this point? Did you play it? Do you ever play it? Do you want to play it, or is it just it's a huge miss?
Also, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that was only for one of the two modes there was 128 players. I think one of them still exists.
Nope, you might absolutely be 100% right. I didn't even dive that deep into it. I just saw the reactions. So
I think they left it for like 2 or 3 maps.
Okay, because I think Miles, it might have been from Windows Central, or it was Jez. It was somebody was saying they were wondering why they were doing so well. They've been facing bots. The game's dead.
I saw that tweet.
So they've been going downhill for a while, and I feel bad because Battlefield, I loved Bad Company 2, but that was Bad Company 2 a decade ago.
I feel bad for the people that put $70 down on this game. They made the $70 bet, and at least with Battlefield, I feel like there's an expectation. They can't miss that bad, right? But then they did. It was just, and people felt really burnt by that. And when you burn a customer like that, they're not going to be so quick to come back. They're not going to buy that next one day one, that's for sure.
And that's where I was going to go next. Is I think a lot of these improvements that they're trying to make is just to save face. They know they messed up. They burned a lot of their bridges, and I think a lot of these improvements now are just for the part of just, hey, no, we're not bad guys. We're not going to abandon this game. And then with Vince Zampinella taking over, the series, I'm pretty sure he might have kind of a hand behind it. And like, hey, we need to at least, we won't get back on course at least, but we at least got to go towards the general direction of getting this back on track and saving this series. I mean, I love Battlefield 4. I worked on Battlefield series, and it's always been kind of close to me. So seeing it go down it's the only game I've ever played a 10-hour trial of and only did like one and deleted it.
I think it needs to go to free to play to save it. And I hate saying that for games. I don't see how they get the player count back up. I don't.
They just burnt too much goodwill. We got news from the other big shooter, Call of Duty, Warzone 2 news, actually, and a lot of people seemed excited about this, that the gameplay is going to be more like Blackout. This is according to a leak, so it's not written in stone yet. How do you guys... I'm not the biggest Call of Duty nerd up here, if you want to say it that way. I know some of you guys are much more enthusiastic about the franchise, so is this good news for Warzone 2?
I don't want to dominate the conversation.
No, this is yours.
I think I'm the Call of Duty guy.
You are, yeah. This is your topic.
I hadn't actually seen that. You're seeing my reaction to that. Blackout is... So Warzone, I get, was bigger. I thought Blackout was way better.
I did too.
Okay. So that's huge. I love hearing that. I'm excited to hear that it's going to more of a Blackout format. Incredible news to me. That's just my first impression. I can't wait to see the game because I back to Modern Warfare, but if it's like Blackout, the Warzone mode, sign me up. I might actually finally get back into a BR.
Yeah.
So they said that, and when comparing it to Blackout, they said that there's going to be that loadouts are still going to be a part of the game, but they're going to be locked behind strongholds, which will work as kind of a mini objectives that once achieved will unlock the new loadouts. So there's a lot of tweaks they're making. So I think that sounds like fun to me too. I might try that out myself.
Yeah, because I did it. I love Blackout as well. It was like, it wasn't, I don't know, I just, maybe the times changed since Warzone came out from Blackout, but it just didn't feel as like sweaty. It was like, it was arcadey, it was fun, it was, over the top action, and I think that's what made it so enjoyable, at least for me. It wasn't so just like hardcore. I felt like Warzone is a little bit more like hardcore for the COD shooter kind of people. While Blackout was like, I'm just gonna, zip line and have fun with it. I don't know.
I'm just reading a tweet now from Raven Software. I think it's from yesterday, saying that 120 Hz support is returning next week as well.
It should always be there.
I was surprised where that went with that.
One of the big things for me, Warzone versus Blackout, I don't know if anybody else shares this opinion. Blackout for me was more the map felt like a bunch of set pieces, iconic positions, similar to how Fortnite is. And I hate to bring that up to compare it to because I hate Fortnite, but um, but Warzone just felt like a big map with big cities, kind of like almost PUBG.
Strong feelings. Did you play no build Fortnite?
I never got around to it.
I barely played Fortnite, so I'm not one to judge.
I've actually been playing no build. Fortnite.
I figured. I think I saw you say that earlier, so I was kind of baiting you.
Yeah, it's so okay. So surprisingly, it's fun. It's amazingly fun with no build. I don't know, maybe just because it just plays differently, and I don't know. A couple of times I felt really bad because I was like running up on somebody and I start shooting them, and then I see them like wiggling on their character, and I know they're trying to build and they can't. And
They're
I'm
having
just
like a natural reaction, like
yeah, they're just like instantly going to like their muscle memory trying to build, and I'm just lighting them up. But no, it's been a lot of fun. Me and my buddy played the other day, did some duos. I mean, we got like 4 victory royales. It was pretty fun. Like it's been, I don't know, I can't really explain it that well, but just that alone just changes so much of the game.
I'm not gonna knock it. I'm not. Millions of people play that game because they love it. There's only so much bandwidth for all of us, and you got to pick and choose where you're playing your games. And I have seen many people with that take, though, that once they took the building out of Fortnite, that's what turned them off to the game, and then it's more pure to them now, and they're having a better time with it. So, great move on their part. No matter how you feel about it, it's definitely got more people playing. The Evil Dead the game, guys. I'm not even a big Evil Dead the movie fan, but the news it's sold 500,000 units already in under a week, which is pretty astonishing for kind of a small, I wouldn't call it, indie title, but it's definitely smaller release than even a AA game, maybe. The main, what people are saying positive about the game is just how true it is to Evil Dead the movie. And Evil Dead the movie is, I believe, kind of is it a campy horror? Did we have anybody up here that is an Evil Dead fan? No?
I am.
Oh, thank you.
You go first.
Yes.
I love this. Like, yeah, I love the series. I mean, even I remember watching it back in the day when it was supposed to be an actual horror. Like, and it was so bad as a horror, it was a comedy, and then they just ran with it, and then that's when you started to get the remake of the Evil Dead, and then the Evil Dead 2, and Ash, with my boomstick and everything, and yeah, it just became this real campy, iconic cult classic because it just was so awful originally. But I haven't played the game. I really do want to get to it. It looks amazing. But yeah, I love this film series. It's such a great, iconic classic.
People's opinion of the game, just if they liked the movie, they like the game, and that seems to be a really strong indication. If they're not really into the movies, that the game doesn't land as well for them.
I mean, Dead Rising was based on the Evil Dead games, right? The original. Am I mistaken?
Might be inspired by. Definitely kind of the same thing going on for sure.
Were you in the shopping mall? You could have got all your gear together.
Yeah. I love Kevin's description that the movie was so bad that they just ran with it.
Yeah.
And it became a thing.
Well, Evil Dead. So Evil Dead 1 and 2 are actually... Evil Dead 2 is not a direct sequel to 1 like you would think it is. 2 is... They redid it. They kind of redid what happened in 1.
Yeah.
And then turned it into something else. It was so campy. It's actually what put Sam Raimi on the map. If people don't know, it was big Sam Raimi vibes with the same as Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. A lot of the set pieces, like some of the quick scenes, a lot of that is in Evil Dead, and it's so good. Oh man, if you have to watch just one, I would suggest Army of Darkness. Terrific movie, and it's campy and it tries to be funny. It knows what it is.
Yeah.
So if the games are anything like that.
Yeah, and it's also like you also see like a lot of like similarities between like it's been brought up before, like Duke Nukem and like because they have those like real cheesy lines of like it's time to kick ass and chew bubblegum and I'm all out of gum kind of thing. I don't think he's ever said that, but if I can remember, but yeah, it's like it's that like cheesiness of the characters. And yeah, Mike's, like I said, Mike's 100% right. It came out and it was so bad that they redid it, and that was the remake. The second one was the actual, and then they did Army of Darkness after, which just played off of that campiness of 2. And
so is Dawn of the Dead not part of that then? The shopping mall one?
Dawn of the Dead, that is George
That's
Romero.
completely separate, is it? That
That
quote
is
you
Yeah.
just gave was from.
Yeah, that's George Romero. I think if I'm
you're
correct,
right.
yeah.
That
Yeah,
quote you just gave was from They Live. Do you remember They Live? That the bubblegum quote with it was a film called They Live.
There's a lot of campy 80s movies, especially kind of in that genre, and maybe not necessarily campy even, but like The Lost Boys is a cult classic, and there's just so many. There was anyways, I can't even recall some of them, but that's why I get them all kind of blended up and confused. But this one has a very large following, and the feedback on the subreddit has been really positive. People are excited that they went back to this IP and brought it back from the dead. So it's kind of nice to see people getting something that they love and enjoying it as being so true to the source material, which is not really something that happens all the time. And kind of on that note, let's jump into Halo the series a little bit. Not everybody is caught up here, so we're going to be kind of spoiler free, but I just wanted to put it out there that next week we're going to wrap up our takes on it. And if any of you in the audience or that are listening to this and after the fact are big into the series and you want to come up and share some takes, we want to get as many opinions as we can about this. People enjoy it, people hate it. I think that I did finish the series, and without giving anything away, I found it to be a adequate ride, and that's where I'm going to leave it for now. I think Mikey just wrapped it up too. Can you thumbs up or thumbs down it without giving too much away?
I give it a thumbs up. I've got my problems with it, but it's not Hitman bad video game adaptation. It's if you took Halo out of it, to me it's still a great sci-fi show, and that
Yeah,
to me
agreed.
is why I like it.
I have one episode to go, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's great. But like I think we discussed earlier, it's like I think that the more hardcore a Halo fan you are, the more you're probably not going to like it. But as a sci-fi show, it's been good. I think it's been good.
That seems to be a pretty big vibe, and I'll be the first to admit that I'm not, like, I play the Halo games, but it's not for the story. I'm just there to blast some things and shoot some aliens, so I've kind of half paid attention to it even mostly. Like, if you go back to the Halo 1, like, I don't even know what happened, and I went through like 8 levels and shot up some flood, and it was a good time to be had by all. Maybe I missed a bunch, but the show brings more to the character for me, so it's I maybe because I'm not a purist, it didn't offend me so much. It just some people are not going to be sold on the show. They never were. It was never going to work for them unless they somehow did an exact retelling of the video game, and that just would have been really hard to do on a small screen.
They have stayed true to a lot of stuff, the vehicles, the weapons, the look, the feel. There's an episode where Cortan tells him to switch to his secondary weapon.
There are some,
and he says, "I know how to play the game."
Yeah, they have some funny fan service in there. There are some straight up rants out there about how this isn't my Master Chief, and Master Chief is never indecisive, and all these different like character differences that just it doesn't work for people, and they will certainly let you hear about it. So it reminds me, maybe not quite as bad as Game of Thrones at the end, but there are definitely some very passionate takes out there, just like all fandom experiences when something new or a new take comes out on these classic characters that we know and love. So I think a lot of it depends on how open your mind is to it. If it wasn't a Halo show, kind of like Mikey was saying, I still had a good time with it. I'm gonna give it I'd give it a 7. So I can't wait to get into some details about the episodes and maybe some things that we liked and didn't, and hopefully we'll be able to do that a little later this week.
Do you guys think? No, I'm the one that's behind. So sorry, guys. Do you think it's because we're going into next season? Do you think this gave them an opportunity to change a lot of things? Do you think you're going to see a totally different style going into second season number 2?
I hope so. I think my least favorite episode recently was episode 6. I loved the character of Kwa, but it didn't fit. It didn't fit Halo. You got to keep it about Chief, and build up these side characters around him. And I think they need to drop side stories entirely, almost, unless it involves Chief. If it doesn't involve them, I don't think it belongs.
I hope this isn't too spoilery, and just plug your ears if you're worried about all things. But the Quan storyline didn't pay off. I don't feel like it paid off. Like I thought we were leading to something that the paths were going to cross, and maybe this is building to season 2. So I think that's something that they can explore and do better.
If they brought her back for season 2 in a capacity to mesh with Chief, absolutely fantastic. But the individual storylines for anything, I think, should be cut, and it just needs to be about Chief, about Halo.
Yeah, those are the best moments of the show.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing too. Like even if they do change direction with season 2, and I see this as like even if you're not as hardcore of a fan of Halo, like you kind of notice is that even Chief doesn't feel like Chief that you know. And I know it's supposed to be like him before and all that, but it's like I just can't picture him growing up into what we know as Chief. Like it's a different Chief, right? So I think even season 2 is still going to rub people the wrong way because it's just a different person. It's like if you want to follow Chief and have things built around Chief with the Halo mindset, even as a lukewarm fan where it's like I'm not listening too into it, I just wanted to shoot, you still have like this idea of what Chief is. And when you go in to see this Chief, it's just like it's kind of not right. You know, it reminds me of like the prequels when everyone like hated on Jake Lloyd. Or like, there's no way that's Darth Vader. You know, it's like that's it. It's like, yeah, I can't see it either. You know, I mean, I don't think you need to like ruin the kid's career over it, but you know, like, but it's just yeah, I just don't see that Chief turning like unless they do some like heel turn or new inhibitor that changes him and it starts looking more like the Chief we know. Still has his own arc, still has his own things. It's just I don't know. I think they need to get a little closer to the source material, not follow the games exactly, but at least have the characters be some sort of like silhouette, if anything, of what we know, you know, from like 20 years ago.
I think he's a great variant of Chief. He's definitely not my Chief, but it's not like I don't like him. I think he's actually a pretty interesting character. It's just it's different, and you need to go in knowing that it's not the same. Especially, I think everybody knows about the scene, the lovemaking scene. It was just weird. Some of that stuff, but it's a different character, and you just have to realize that. Same with Cortana.
Yeah. I mean, in the games, we see Chief in like 1 or 2 modes. Like he's in kick-ass mode all the time. He's always running face first into a battle. Like when we're doing a show, Chief can't always be running face first into the battle. He needs to be having breakfast or just doing these normal day-to-day things, and you can't eat breakfast with your helmet on. And I'm not going to go through loops to defend what has happened here with the series and the diversions from the show, but I really don't think that you could tell the story and portray the Chief as he is in the games and tell a compelling television show. He's just too almost monotone to a point. You know, he's just very straight-laced and take care of business. Let's get it done. You know, give me my weapon, shoot things. Yeah, next mission, blah blah blah. You know, it's just it's a kind of a one-track character to me and not very deep. I'll go out and say that. So when they decided to, add some layers to Chief and do some different things with him, if you love the game and you love that Master Chief that's always straight ahead and headed into battle, well, you're just not going to be happy with the way the series portrays him, I guess.
Right. I think for Halo 1, there's like one episode's worth of dialogue in Halo 1. How do you build a show off that? You can't. You have to do something different.
Yeah, and even what I was saying, like, I'm not saying that as a detractor, like, oh, terrible Master Chief, flushed it down the drain. It's just like, I can see the, I guess the disconnect where people, like, if you use the Halo IP and you're like, you're coming in because this is Halo, and your main character feels way off base from what the character has, like, because you could still have that, like, oh, I'm going in, shooting up to things and stuff, because, like, in Halo 4, Halo 5, there was a different kind of Master Chief that was like earned, where he started to come more out of his shell and wasn't all about shooting things down, like the Cortana build and stuff. So it's like you can take from that and be like, well, what was he like before he became even more hard? Like, he was all hard up for like through 1 through 3 he was basically just cold killing, calculating. But in 4 and 5 it was like that's when you started seeing him loose. So was he loose before that? Like, can we see what maybe made him say, you know what, that's it, no more, I'm locked down, shut the door. I don't know, just something like that. But this one's like, just, I don't even see him in any of those games, which is fine. But it's like, I could see that as a fan being like, well, who is this guy? Why am I watching this? Why don't I just watch Star Wars?
That's kind of a fair take, or Star Trek or whatever else is on Paramount Plus. But it's kind of about expectations. I think that's what it really comes down to. The people that came in and said, "Hey, this isn't Halo," and I know that, but let's see if I can kind of rope in some of the Halo things that I know and understand, and see if I can enjoy those in a different setting. So. Hopefully, go ahead. Yes, please.
And that's what that's what they tried to do, I think, originally, and that's where everybody. I think it kind of backfired on them a little bit, because they did try to get ahead of the game and be like, guys, this isn't part of the series. We're not making something that's going to be a remake or a word for word kind of thing, whatever, of the Halo series. So this is going to be different, and they tried to set that expectation, and then people got their pitchforks and torches and just kind of went to town on it. I don't know. I like what they're trying to do. I do think it needs a second season. Do you guys think maybe adding more episodes would have helped?
I think dropping all the episodes at once would have helped. I think I go back and forth about this with certain games or with certain shows. Like I thought Game of Thrones was great because everybody was able to dissect every episode and debate about what was going to happen, and that was a lot of fun. But this is a show that could have better served itself by just dropping this whole story at once, because there are people that bailed after episodes 3 and 4. When we did our own takes on those episodes, we were like, this isn't going the way I want it to. I'm bored with it. And I could see people just saying, I don't want any more to do with it. And I think that cost them, because I do think they bring the story back around to a place that's at least interesting as a television show. We can debate about how close it is to lore and how Halo-y it is, but they brought the show back to a better place by the end of the season. So I'm not a fan of the weekly episode drop. I wanted to binge things, and I think that would have been better for the show.
Yeah, I think they can do two things. I think they can, one, do what you say, where they just drop all the episodes at once, but also make it shorter. Like I remember Castlevania on Netflix. That was like, I think the first season was like 4 episodes, and people
so
got
good.
right through it. Yeah, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is great. 4 episodes, no commitment. Let's see what's up." If they just like made it very concise, like 5 episodes, and got all the parts that we like about the show in those 5 episodes, there we go. We're done, and we were able to say, "Hey, that was really good," rather than having like 8, 10, and we're like, "Oh man." We're already done by 5, and it's like nothing's wrapping up, and people are leaving. It's like just concise it.
But then everyone subscribes for 1 month and drops it. So with Paramount,
this is true. This is the money side.
they're not. Unfortunately, Paramount is not Netflix. Netflix, always has content coming out, reasons to keep subscribing. Paramount doesn't have a lot of big killers yet. They don't have a name for themselves. So they have to drop 1 episode at a time, because they have to keep you hooked for at least 2 months, and then hopefully you forget that you're subscribed.
Are you telling me the iCarly reboot is not must-see television?
Oh man, hi. No.
Fair. So we look forward to, actually, that was really good. We made it through probably 20-25 minutes of conversation there without giving anything away, I feel like. Anything major. But what we want to do is we want to wrap this up next week. And as I mentioned, please come join us. It might not be till next Friday at this time. We're still trying to hit kind of a weekly time, but we will wrap it up and dive into some details on the episodes and discuss it in a little more detail than we did today. But it seems like everybody's in for season 2, and I think that's all that they wanted. That's a win for Halo, the series, is having people willing to check out another set of episodes and maybe even resubscribe come that time. So I think that's it for the news and everything that we've been through. I'm just going to kind of throw it around the horn here and see if there's anything that you guys wanted to kind of wrap up with, maybe some news you're looking forward to or games that you're playing, that kind of stuff. And we can start with Kevin. He's over here right next to me on the chat screen.
Hey guys. I think kind of a slow news week. So I mean, it's I think we're gonna kind of see some of that going into the Bethesda showcase. It's just natural. The most we'll see maybe some leaks here and there, but ramping up. I'm kind of curious. I was going to bring it up earlier when we were talking about the game show, but I wonder, maybe next week we'll hit that. I wonder how much Xbox is going to divulge there. Having it a week before their showcase, it kind of, I don't know. That's going to be kind of a rough thing for them, I think.
I feel like they can't really leak anything right now. Like, they need to save up all the news, right? They're holding in. They don't want to. I don't know what they can give us.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a very like Nintendo, PC, PlayStation heavy Game Award, or not the Game Awards, but the Summer Game Fest. So I don't know. That's something maybe we can touch on next week. Other than that, no, I'm actually curious on if anybody, I saw a few people I was talking to on the chat, if anybody got into FanFest. I'd love to hear it. If you guys have never been, it's an amazing experience. I'd love to talk to you guys about it. I've been a handful of times already, and it's such a great experience. So, yeah, sound off. If you guys have gotten in, let me know. I'd love to meet up with some of you guys.
Yeah, maybe we can even throw up a thread, and if we have enough people attending, getting some pictures and just some takes on what's going on down there, other than what we are able to see from outside of the place. But how awesome to go in person! I'm very jealous.
Yeah. I'm just looking forward to the showcase. I don't want any leaks. I hope there are no leaks. I want it to just be a big, complete surprise on the day. Sick of leaks, in a way. I know we live for leaks, being in what we're doing here, but it does kind of deflate, when you know everything in advance. So I'm hoping that it's pretty tight running up to the show.
Fair, yeah, totally fair. Mikey, how about you? Any closing thoughts for us?
If I'm Microsoft and I have a week before my own showcase, I think I dropped something big at Game Fest, because you have an opportunity to dominate the conversation for half a month then. If you believe in your showcase, I think if we see something dropped on Game Fest or during Game Fest, Summer of Game Fest, whatever they call it, if we see something big drop, then I think that only raises the hype for what their showcase is going to be, because that means they're confident in their own show. So that for me will be a gauge. If we get something like Starfield gameplay before the game show or before their actual own game conference, it'll be huge.
Yeah, I agree, and maybe I need to soften my stance on that. I don't want them to share too much, but yeah, drop in like a little teaser or a little taste like that. A small bomb that could hit the news cycle for the week in a time where obviously we are very slow on news. We are struggling to find topics for today's show even. So it does feel like a calm before the storm, so to speak. Ivan, what are you going to be up to this week? Are you through with Multiversus? Are you going to play that a little more, or are you playing NBA 2K still?
Not really so much 2K, but I definitely think I'm going to mess with Multiverses a bit. I'm also looking to dive in. It's on Game Pass now. I'm going to butcher the name. It's like Umuragi Generation. It's like this weird photo. It looks like paparazzi, but actually fun. So I'm looking forward to playing them.
Hey, I have like 2 hours playing paparazzi. You take that back.
Right. But also, even what you were saying with the showcase, it's like, I think everyone really fixated on like Starfield, but you gotta think it's the Xbox Bethesda showcase, and I'm just looking forward to seeing what that means. It's like, okay, so what is Bethesda coming out with? That maybe we don't know about, because obviously we know about Elder Scrolls and Starfield, we know about the big stuff, but maybe there are smaller things that we'll be like, oh, that's really cool, like Quake. I mean, that would be cool to see again, or just anything, just that's under the Bethesda umbrella. It doesn't have to be Starfield, and there's just so much, free real estate there, pretty much. So I just don't know. Like, I feel like you wouldn't plan a showcase and just be like, we're just going to show, 55 minutes of Starfield. You know what I mean?
Quake is a great ask. From our recent poll, that was one of the top requested games. So I would love to see some Quake news just for the fans who I know love the game. Not even for myself. I like to see people happy. So, Moko, it's late over there for you. You're probably ready for bed, but how are you going to be spending your week?
Oh, man, I'm just clearing my backlog at the moment. I've got so much stuff to play through. Just like I said before, like I was playing Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm just desperate to get to the end of the game. I started it so long ago, and it seems like it's a really long game. No matter how far I get, it seems like there's more to go. Maybe that's just me. I don't know, but yeah, that's what I'll be doing, to just getting through my backlog before the big stuff drops.
I've played games like that before. You're just like, all right, I can't wait to beat this game, and like you get to the end, and it's just like a 20 hours more than you thought.
Get, like, people always say, I wish the campaign was longer, or whatever. But sometimes the campaign's too long, But yeah, I like it though. Guardians of the Galaxy is a great. I mean, it's on obviously Game Pass, but it's a real fun game. It's good. I like it very much.
Almost universally praised. So I wish you luck on wrapping that up, and maybe we can get your takes on the conclusion if you can get it done by next week.
Yeah.
No pressure. I'm not trying to put that on you. Please game at your own rate. So,
what about you, Jay?
Oh yeah, I mean I'm doing things too, right? I've actually been playing a lot of indie games. So I've been playing Nexelmon, I believe. It's a Pokemon clone. Really well done. Graphics are fantastic. It's probably better than a Pokemon game, but you don't have that Pokemon charm, so it loses like points when you're doing the comparison, obviously. I had quite a bit of fun with that. I'm still playing the Stanley Parable. I can't quite. If I ever make it through it, is that a thing? Does that even
That's
happen?
not a thing.
No,
Nope.
you just play and play and play. So eventually, I will come out of that vortex. I think this will probably be my last week with it, hopefully. But what an intriguing game and a fun ride. So that's pretty much it for me. I'm really excited for the game show. I'm excited to start getting those news chunks too, and I can't wait to stream that with you guys, and hopefully we can watch that together and just kind of be like, whoa, freaking out when all the big stuff happens, and hopefully the show is not a disappointment. They can't afford it to be. So I think if we could be a fly on the wall in Xbox Game Studios, and especially at headquarters with Phil and all that stuff, I feel like there's a lot of scrambling going behind the scenes right now, and that they're going to try their hardest to deliver. If they have the ammunition to pull it off, that's what we're all here to see. So we will know soon, as Kevin has reminded me. I mean, I felt like this thing was months off. It's like in 2 weeks, so we will be talking about that soon enough.
If possible, I'll see what they'll allow for the watch event, because I'll be at the event, so I won't be able to join you guys live. But unless they let me, I'll have to see. I'll have to hit up their marketing and see what we're allowed to stream and what we're not when I get there.
Just do it, Kev. Don't ask. my old boss told me it's better to just do something. It's easy to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission.
That's not. And on that note, yes, we'll set Kevin up with a spy cam on his corsage. Anyways, I can't wait to talk to you all next week. We'll try to get this back on the rails, and we'll hopefully have some more news to discuss. So you guys all have a good one, man.
Cheers, guys.
Have a good one, everyone.